Liberty and Mrs. Lewis's conflict intensifies in chapter 1619, putting both women through emotional hardship. After their discussion, Liberty is eager to pick up her son, Sony, and head back home since she feels uncomfortable with Mrs. Lewis's steadfast attempts to keep her and Duncan apart. Due to their professional connections, Liberty has displayed some warmth toward Duncan, but she is convinced that her current existence in Willspoon cannot be changed. Liberty will not be easily convinced to leave the city, and Mrs. Lewis vents her unhappiness to her husband, Mr. Lewis. Although Mrs. Lewis agrees that Liberty is not to fault for the situation, it is clear that she is annoyed by Duncan's relentless pursuit of Liberty. She tells Mr. Lewis about their chat and how Liberty had vowed to avoid tying the knot with the Lewises as long as Mrs. Lewis was against it. On the other hand, Mr. Lewis queries if Liberty is being shrewd or manipulative. He expresses worry about the strain a confrontation like that may have on his relationship with his son Duncan. He emphasizes that Duncan is renowned for harboring resentments and forewarns against adopting extreme actions that would result in a permanent gap between them. Mr. Lewis maintains his objectivity in the face of Mrs. Lewis's irritation and desire to see Duncan with Liberty. He contends that since love cannot be forced, even if Liberty were to wed Duncan against her will, it wouldn't ensure her happiness. He claims that Duncan is the main problem since he needs to earn Liberty's love on his own merits. The intricate dynamics of the Lewis family are made clear in the dialogue between Mr. and Mrs. Lewis. While Mr. Lewis is wary about jeopardizing their relationship with Duncan, Mrs. Lewis is adamant about making her son happy. Sonia and Duncan are impatiently waiting at the mall's entrance. He keeps thinking about Liberty and the exchange she had with his mother. He struggles with the worry that Liberty might become even farther distant due to the tenacity of Mrs. Lewis. He struggles with the decision of whether to get involved because he can't leave Sonia alone. Sonia wants to go home since he is sick of playing on the playground for kids. He approaches Duncan and the mall employees and asks for their approval to go. He tries to capture Duncan's attention, despite the fact that he is preoccupied with his thoughts. The staff assists him in leaving and assures Duncan that they are aware of their relationship. The young child asks about his mother's location as Duncan and Sony leave, showing his understandable concern for Liberty. We are left wondering how this complicated family scenario will play out and how it might affect the lives of Liberty, Duncan, and Sony as this question hangs in the air. The emotional agony brought on by Liberty's and the Lewis family's continued search of a romantic relationship is highlighted in chapter 1619. It paves the way for more growth in their relationships and raises concerns for the future.